Yes, yes, so Hairless here. Today we have a one-hit wonder that I've never heard of. I've never heard of the artists, Zager and Evans. They were a pop rock duo from Nebraska and this song was released in 1969. You might be wondering why I said one-hit wonder. Well, this was our most recent monthly members poll winner. The theme of that poll was one-hit wonders. You can vote on these polls by joining my Patreon, which is linked below, completely free. Apparently, Zager and Evans remain the only act to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with their debut single and then never chart again.
In the year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find.
Lovely trumpet.
In the year 35, ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. In the year 45, ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes. You won't find a thing to chew, nobody's gonna look at you. In the year 55.
In the year 55. So it seems we're moving up by 1,010 years each time. An interesting interval, but it's a pattern that's very satisfying. 2525, 3535, 4545, etc. It's a very interesting song so far. How much have we listened to? 1 minute and 3 seconds. The video as well. This is not the official video. This is a video made by someone that's taking clips from a film, Metropolis. Now, Metropolis has been on my films to watch list for many, many years. I've heard mixed things about it, but ultimately I think it's something I'd really enjoy. So I'm finding this super interesting. The song's premise as well about dystopian future, almost predicting what the future might entail. We're seeing a lot of stuff that they've been talking about in a way already happening, which is quite creepy. So I'll be interested to hear what they say about 55 and then 65, 75. Now, while we've paused, and I do this for copyright reasons, it really just helps. I want to go over a few of the things I find most interesting about this song. And I want to start with the rhythms. I really like the rhythms on the, well, it's not really a chorus, is it? Thinking about it. Actually, it's just struck me that we haven't heard anything other than a kind of verse structure. Is this song going to be like that all the way through? Or maybe I've paused just before the chorus. If that's the case, I apologize. But having a structure that is just verses or the same thing over and over does fit in with this almost endless chronological linear progression that we're getting in the story. If that is the case, though, it's a very peculiar thing for a song to do. But yeah, the rhythms, I was going to say, there's something just very catchy about the elongation on year, in the year, and then the line that follows it will often have more notes, but much shorter, quicker, a bit more punchy, which is a good bit of contrast.
In the year 45, ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes.
And then the end of the lines that follow is now much longer. So we start off in the year, then a bit in between, and then long at the end. It creates quite a natural sort of melodic arc. The vocal singing style as well. It's almost like he's reciting a story.
Ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes. You won't find a thing to chew.
The range he's singing in, so the melody's range, it's very restricted, really. I think that contributes a lot to the storytelling nature. I mean, if he's going to be warning us about something and he wants us to listen, maybe it's best to do it in a more simple way rather than going to like extreme crazy highs or crazy lows. So I've kind of realized that the structure is, well, we haven't heard a chorus yet, but that's after the introduction. Of course, the introduction is somewhat different. It's worth noting, though,
in the year 25,
that the chorus uses the same chords as we've been hearing for the rest of the song, which, as we can hear, starts here and then moves down and then down again and then down again. So basically this downward scale, and it's just those chords. It's worth noting that the first chord we hear in the whole song and every kind of verse is a minor chord. And minor chords are a bit sadder sounding than their major, happier counterparts. So we start off with a minor chord. That's very kind of foreboding. It's what you'd expect for a song of this nature. But then all the other chords we hear are actually happier sounding major. So minor, and then happier major, happier major, happier major. To me, that's just a bit unexpected considering what the song is about. And I love the introduction. It's such a nice sort of Latin American feel.
If man is still alive, if woman can
Rapidly strummed guitar there. Of course, we have the lovely, lovely trumpet.
survive, they may fall.
I mean, considering when the song was released in the 60s, I know there are a lot of great classic cowboy films from that era, and their soundtracks use similar musical styles. Why? Well, this type of music is just good for suspense. I think so anyway. Something about the contrast between the strummed guitar and those lovely melismatic trumpet lines, of course, being played much slower than when the verses eventually come in. After that chromatic rise into it, and then the boom, boom, the beat comes in, the low bass. So all that's to say, it's a very peculiar and interesting song so far. In one hand, with the structure being the same, there's not that much variety, but on the other hand, we are actually getting a lot of variety, and I'll touch on some more of this later. But firstly, let's hear more of the song.
In the year 55, 55, your arms are hanging limp at your sides. Your legs got nothing to do. Some machine doing that for you. In the year 65, 65, ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no wife. You pick your son, pick your daughter too. From the bottom of a long glass tube, whoa, whoa.
That is happening now.
In the year 75, 10, if God's a-comin', he ought to make it by then. Maybe he'll look around himself and say, guess it's time for the judgment day. In the year 85, 10, God is gonna shake his mighty head. He'll either say, I'm pleased where man has been, or tear it down and start again. Whoa, whoa.
75-10, 85-10. So the pattern that we've been seeing of 1010 years has been broken. We would be expecting 75-75, 85-85. How does the music reflect this break in pattern? Well, quite obviously, really. The music also breaks the pattern. Let's go back to it. There, a key change, a modulation. We've moved from here to there, just this slide up, one semitone. The pattern I showed you before that we see in every verse of those falling chords is now the same, but again, just shifted up. Yeah, very eerie lyrics, especially because some of what they're talking about has basically come true. Test tube babies. When he was saying the year 55-55 about arms being limp and you not needing to walk, it just reminds me of a scene from, what was the film, Wall-E?
Over here.
And the test tube part, and they're talking about you can choose who your children are. It reminds me of the film with Jude Law and Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, Gattaca. I mean, a lot of futuristic predictions just based on scientific and technological advancements do tend to be somewhat accurate. The ones that aren't, I think, are just because they can't envisage technology that doesn't exist yet. There's a really interesting cultural movement called retrofuturism. I find it so fascinating. There are quite a lot of drawings and paintings from the 1920s, which is when this film, Metropolis, came out, and they're predicting what life would be like in 2100 or 2000. And a lot of it is somewhat accurate with FaceTime and stuff, but they are predicting that televisions are still massive and things are analog, you know, that kind of thing. All really interesting. But the song, let's get back to the music. So we've listened to more of the song, and it seems there really is no chorus. The structure of the song is just verse, 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 with the same chords as well. Yeah, sure, we've had a key change moving up, so I'm wondering, are we going to get another key change, or will that be it? And the music, when it's repetitive, it's at risk of being boring. Of course, we have the lyrics here, which is super interesting, but if you literally just have the exact same musical segment over and over and over and over, it can get a bit samey. So what do? Well, really subtly, they're building up layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, really subtly. I can't stress that enough. Let's point out a few things they do. So the first obvious one is when the violin comes in.
Is in the pill you took today, in the year 45.
Then when we move to the year 55, the sustained bass line that we're hearing is getting reinforced. They're adding in a new instrument. It's a little hard to hear exactly what instrument it is.
In the year 55, your arms are hanging.
Dum, dum. To me, it sounds like a brass instrument, so a trombone or possibly a horn, but it's definitely there. Talking of brass, next time round, we get more brass coming in. And as well as adding in instruments from different families to change the sound, the timbre, the texture of what we're hearing, the brass that come in now that I'm about to show you, they serve such a rhythmic purpose.
Doing that for you in the year 65.
Cha, 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 cha. Can you hear that? The trumpets.
Ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no wife.
So they're syncopated. They're doubling up the sustained violin line at the top in terms of pitch, just down the octave. So they're not adding any new harmony in there. It's just all about this new sort of rhythmic energy. And of course, every time we shift to a new millennium, we get vocal harmony, just to introduce that millennium.
In the year 65, ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no.
And then the vocal harmony drops out. I believe it's the same with every single time we've heard a new millennium. Let's look at another one.
In the year 75, if God's a-coming, he ought to make it by.
Yeah, and now as we're hearing more layers, the trumpets that came in with the syncopated line before, now they've moved to a more sustained line. So a sustained line, sorry. So this song, there's just a lot of kind of attention to detail, a lot of subtle things to keep things interesting that we might not necessarily hear on a first listen. Sorry, you can probably see I'm literally roasting alive right now. Where I live is not designed for the heat at all. If it gets a tiny bit hot, it becomes a hot box. So before I literally boil alive, let's finish up this song. If you enjoy these videos, please consider supporting me. You can buy me a coffee or hot chocolate, join our Patreon for loads of additional content that's not available on YouTube, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. All options are linked below, and a special thanks to everyone on the screen. Back to the video.
In the year 95, I'm kinda wondering if man is gonna be alive. He's taken everything this old earth can give, and he ain't put back nothing, whoa. Now it's been 10,000 years, man has cried a billion tears for what he never knew. Now man's reign is through, but through eternal night, the twinkling of starlight, so very far away, maybe it's only yesterday. In the year 25, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find. In the year 35.
And now it's like a loop. They just said in the year 35, then it will be 45. I find that really clever, actually, because the lyrics of this, well, this much slower verse, more raspy vocals, everything kind of reduced. They say, but through eternal light, the twinkling of starlight.
Starlight, so very far away, maybe it's only yesterday.
Maybe it's only yesterday. And sorry, just whilst we're here, actually, the visuals for the time, I can only imagine how amazing and mind-blowing they must have been.
In the year.
I mean, that would still check out today pretty much. But yeah, the other really kind of poignant and philosophical verse, is it the 90, was it 95 or 95-10?
In the year 95.
Yeah, so we've had another key change up again. So we moved from here to here. And now for 9510. Up, up, up. The harmony as well, vocally.
In the year 95, I'm kind of wondering if man is gonna be alive.
I'm kind of wondering if man is going to be alive. Now, this line, not to get too philosophical, but I cannot say how many conversations I've had with people about this sort of thing. And one theory that I think is really interesting is how when civilizations kind of become advanced enough, that's also the point where morally or socio-politically they capitulate. Technology goes up, but so does their moral corruption. And essentially they will destroy their own selves before sending them off to somewhere else, and then the cycle just repeats and repeats and repeats. That's just one of many, many interesting theories. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any, but yeah, they certainly make you think. Obviously, it's very different listening to this song now, almost 60 years after it was released. I'd love to know what people thought of the song at the time. I am guessing they loved it because it reached #1 and it was their debut single, which is a very, very good achievement and cool achievement. And I just wonder why Zager and Evans did not chart again. So comment down below if you know, and let me know your thoughts on this song, which was your favorite or least favorite part about it. Also, if you've seen the film Metropolis, because I think I will be watching this one soon. It just looks so intriguing. Yeah, really, really cool all round. All right, well, we'll leave that one there. I'll definitely be having some dreams or nightmares tonight about what life will be like in 500 years. Hopefully no nightmares for you. Thank you if you made it this far. Really, really appreciate it. Leave a like on the video to let me know you enjoyed, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.